Hey, TMG here. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a great game. It's a game that everybody should pick up and play at least once in their lives. Personally though, I would recommend replaying the game a few times. Every time I replay the game, something stands out to me. This time, it was the boss fights. There are 5 bosses total in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is a lot less than we have come to expect from a 2D Mario game. Furthermore, 4 of these boss fights are Bowser Jr. battles, which all feel and play out very similarly. There's nothing wrong with this. 2D Mario games have reused the same boss throughout the game before, such as Bowser in Super Mario Bros. 1, or Birdo in Super Mario Bros. 2, and Boom Boom in Super Mario Bros. 3. The only difference is that, aside from Super Mario Bros. 1, returning bosses are almost always accompanied by new bosses later on in a world. For example, you fight Birdo 2 times in the first world of Super Mario Bros. 2, but the 3rd level has a new boss, Mouser. Now this isn't a very big deal considering that the rest of the game is full of new ideas and that bosses are not the focus of a 2D Mario game. But I think this contradicts something that we have been told. Ever since this game came out, people have been telling me that the reason this game is so good is because it had no deadline. This doesn't sit well with me. I feel like if they truly had no deadline, then there probably would have been a castle of some sort in every world, each hosting a new boss that is mechanically unique. Because of this, I decided to do some digging. The source everybody points to is the article, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is what happens when devs have time to play, published on Wired. I won't say the name of the author because I'm afraid I will butcher the pronunciation. Anyway, the part everybody points to is in the first paragraph. It reads, "When the team behind Super Mario Bros. Wonder was in the prototyping stage of the game, it had no due date." Did you catch that? Let me read it again. When the team behind Super Mario Bros. Wonder was in the prototyping stage of the game, it had no due date. So what this is saying is that the prototype of the game had no deadline, not the rest of the development cycle. Super Mario Bros. Wonder most likely had a deadline. If you weren't paying attention while reading, then this can be deceiving. Almost every YouTube video talking about Super Mario Bros. Wonder uses this source to prove that Super Mario Bros. Wonder had no deadline, but omits the prototype part, which completely changes the meaning of what the source is actually saying. So yes, Super Mario Bros. Wonder probably had a deadline following the prototype stage. And I say probably because no one has outright confirmed that the game had a deadline. Then again, Nintendo never confirms whether a game had a deadline or not. Why? Because nobody cares about little boring details like that. People care about the game, not about whether it had a deadline or not. So when you're on the internet and you hear people saying Super Mario Bros. Wonder didn't have a deadline, look at their sources, because I can almost guarantee that their source was this article from Wired or some other source that got its information from this article, which disproves this claim. So yes, Super Mario Bros. Wonder most likely had a deadline. Now does this actually matter? No. Super Mario World, one of the best Mario games ever made, was rushed near the end of development to meet a deadline, as Shigeru Miyamoto once explained. This is evident in the game. It reuses the Koopalings as the world bosses from Super Mario Bros. 3. The last world has both a Larry Koopa boss and the final boss fight with Bowser, because they probably didn't have time to give Larry his own world. But despite this, Super Mario World is still regarded as one of the best video games ever made. Now I'm not saying Super Mario Bros. Wonder was rushed, but there are definitely instances in the game that feel oddly reused or underdeveloped, which would be odd if this game didn't have a deadline. I already gave the Bowser Jr. fights as an example. Another example would be in Fungi Mines, where 3 levels reuse the Slime Wonder effect. Now I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with reusing mechanics, but most Wonder effects tend to be one-off things. So it is odd to see 3 levels reusing the same Wonder in the same world, especially in such close proximity to each other. Now I think like Super Mario World, these aspects don't actually affect the overall gameplay experience, meaning this game is great. It's just odd to think that a game with no deadline would reuse bosses or level mechanics in this way. And keep in mind, these examples I gave are not faults with the games. I love how the Slime Wonder works, and I love fighting the bosses, but these instances still stand as evidence that there probably was a deadline at some point in the development of this game. So regardless of what happened behind the scenes with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it still stands as one of the best 2D platformers ever made. TMG out. Goodbye.